I'm Adam Johnson. My wife and I have grown our real estate business from nothing into the millions, and now my life's purpose is to show you how we did it so that you can do the same. Starting this month, I'm uploading a ton of free and very helpful videos that will be your step-by-step guide to starting an Airbnb business utilizing our go-to property acquisition technique called Subject to. Follow along these course videos, take notes, and dive into the exciting, challenging, yet very rewarding world of real estate investing with me, Adam Johnson. Enjoy.
Welcome back. I'm your host, Adam Johnson. Now we're going to talk about how to acquire properties so you can make them your short-term rentals and put them on the platforms. And I promise you, it's probably going to be easier than you anticipated. So stay with me. I'm going to tell you about a few ways that we've used to acquire properties and give that information to you so you can go out and find some houses. So first thing we'll talk about are the types of short-term rentals. We've seen trailers, we've seen tents, we've seen backyards, we've seen all types of different unique, I guess, places to bed down, if you will, on the short-term rental platform. So there is no one size fits all. You may have a boat, you may have a spare room, whatever you want it to be on the short-term rentals, the possibilities are endless. So we'll talk about how to acquire some of these properties. Talk about the traditional method, which is just buying a house and putting it on Airbnb. I'm going to talk a little bit about rental arbitrage, which is there's lots of information on rental arbitrage. We only have one rental arbitrage. We prefer to buy our properties and own our properties, but when an opportunity arises, we couldn't say no. We'll talk about lease options and also subject to, which is my favorite way to acquire houses. We bought over 50 properties to date using this method. So stay with me. It's going to get interesting. So as I said before, there's many different ways or types of real estate properties you can use. There's houses, apartments. I've seen, as I said, boats, tents, you name it. It's as creative as you want to be to have your listings on the short-term rentals. There is no one size fits all. So how do you acquire these properties? How do you get a home, a house, a room to put on the short-term rental platforms? Well, the most known, most common is just traditionally to buy a property. To buy a house, you know, a lot of people will either, if they're buying their second home, they'll make the first home an Airbnb, a short-term rental, which is simply, you know, getting qualified by a bank, using a realtor, finding a property, putting down with, you know, your 3, 5, 20% down, whatever you want to put down to be able to have that property. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. However, as an investor, that's very slow to me to go out and get a loan and jump through hoops and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just we could not have built the business we built using this traditional method. But again, you purchase a property, prepare the property for the guests, you know, make it Airbnb friendly, and then put it on the platforms. It's that simple. But it takes a good amount of money, depending on quite a few factors, and it could take a while, a few years for you to accumulate, you know, multiple properties because of lending restrictions and so on and so forth. So I always tell people that I work with, as a real estate investor, creativity is your superpower. Remember that. I'll say it so many more times. Creativity is your superpower. All right. So one of the more common ways that we see people generating or accumulating properties to be able to put on the short-term rental platforms is called rental arbitrage. That's a fancy way to say lease and sublease. Okay. All that means is that I can go talk to a homeowner. I can rent. I can guarantee them rent for 3, 4, 5 years with the intentions, and I'm open about this, I'm going to rent your house out as a short-term rental on Airbnb, VRBO, and the like of which. So again, rental arbitrage is simply going to a homeowner and renting a home or an apartment complex or an apartment, individual apartments, wherever the case may be, is I can rent that out, rent out a property, rent out an apartment, and with the intentions of putting it on as a short-term rental. It's as simple as that. Now, your documentation, your purchase, not your purchase agreement, your rental agreement between yourself and the homeowner must state that you will be putting it on Airbnb as a short-term rental. You have to be open. You have to disclose that. If not, you're opening yourself up for litigation and problems because you're not going to be using the property as you agreed to in writing. So in writing, knock on wood, in writing, you must have in your rental agreement between yourself and the homeowner that you will be leasing this property as a short-term rental on the platforms. You got to disclose it. I can't say that enough because it will come back to bite you. All right. So rental arbitrage, a very common way to lease and sublease properties. Another unique way that we buy houses, we also we get creative as we can get, but lease options is another great way to buy or control properties. Okay. What lease option means, lease option means I can lease a property with the option to purchase it. I don't have to. It's the same thing if you heard the term rent to own. Rent to own and lease option are the exact same thing, different terminology, more layman's terms versus, lease options more kind of legalistic, if you will. But rent to own and lease option are the same thing. Okay. So what that means is we've done this quite a few times. I can go to a homeowner and I can say, Mr. Homeowner, I would like to lease your property with the option to buy it, and I'll guarantee you this amount of rent for this amount of time. Okay. I'll give you an example of one we did about 2 years ago, and we still have this property today. We found a property that was worth about $200,000, okay? And we negotiated that we'd purchased the property for $200,000, but we had a 5-year window to do such. So I had 60 months to be able to to rent that property and cash out the homeowner for $200,000. Now, the terms we negotiated were, I put down $5,000 as my down payment amount. So that meant that I owed them, the homeowner, $195,000 within the to cash out that property. Now that $5,000 as we negotiated was non-refundable. That was my skin in the game for taking that property off the market. So I have the exclusive right to purchase it, and the homeowner cannot sell to anybody else, no matter how much they offer. So I'm putting $5,000 down as my lease option fee, which is non-refundable. This is how we structured our deal to be able to take possession of that property. And we guaranteed them like $1,400 per month for the next 60 months. So we can either rent it out or put it on Airbnb for obviously a higher amount. But lease options is an amazing way to get into properties for very low upfront costs. That $5,000 down, we put much less on different properties. Every property is going to be different. Some properties require a heavy deposit of $5,000, $10,000. Some properties, because of number factors and many other factors, we put down $500 before and controlled the property for years to come and made that profitable and that passive income each month. So lease options is a great way to acquire properties. There's 4 areas that you must negotiate, which is the purchase price. In this example, we did $200,000. The down payment, in this example, we chose $5,000 non-refundable down payment for 60 months, and we guaranteed them a rental amount of $1,400 per month. Now, anything we get over $1,400 from our guests or our tenants, that's our profit each month, and that's how that works out. So a great way to get into properties, to control properties without owning anything. You control it, you profit off of it, and at the end of those 60 months, if you cannot buy the home, which is unlikely, you should be able to buy the home, and that's a different video, by the way, then the homeowner gets their house back and they've built another 5 years of equity. That's a different video, but check it out on YouTube. I have a video on lease option and subject to. All right. The last way I'm going to talk about today is my exact favorite way to acquire properties. We bought over 50 properties using the subject to method. Now, what is subject to, you may ask? All right. Subject to means I can purchase a property subject to the owner financing staying in place. What does that mean? Well, with a traditional house, you have 2 vehicles. I like to say you have a deed, which shows ownership, and a mortgage, which shows financial responsibility. They're not the same. They don't have to have the same names on it. So what happens in a subject to transaction that we've done over 50 times is that the deed from Mr. and Mrs. Smith homeowners will transfer to my business, Johnson Property Investments. However, the mortgage in Mr. and Mrs. Smith's name will stay in Mr. and Mrs. Smith's name. That's a hard phrase. And we will begin making mortgage payments to PennyMac, Wells Fargo, wherever the mortgage company is, indefinitely until we either sell the property, do a cash out refi, or just pay the loan off in general. So that's how we've been able to acquire so many homes and convert a lot of those properties into one of our 22 Airbnb short-term rentals. It's a unique way. Many times it's very low cost up front. Most of the homes that we purchased subject to were relatively new homes. had little to no equity and cost us almost nothing to get into. In most cases, any homes that we purchased subject to that did have an upfront cost, like let's say that repairs needed to be made, or maybe the homeowner was a month or two behind on mortgage payments, we structure our deal so that the homeowner will pay us back over the next 6, 7, 8 months, or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna say it again, as a real estate investor, creativity is your superpower. So being able to find these properties, find homeowners or sellers in need, and be able to provide them a solution, it goes a long way. Building your business and creating a win-win situations with homeowners and sellers, and it's a beautiful thing when everything works out right for you. So subject to, I have an entire course, I think 8 or 9 modules, downloadable course, showing exactly how we bought over 50 homes and continue marketing, continue trying to talk to sellers, and continue trying to buy houses today. It's fun. I love it. Little money into the deal, and we're profitable usually on day one when we acquire a property subject to. The properties we buy sub to, as I said, are usually profitable on day one, and they'll be profitable for the next 20, 30 years as long as we keep them. So it's a great way to acquire properties with little money up front. Let's talk about let's recap the 4 types of the 4 ways to acquire properties we talked about today. All right, and there are more, don't get me wrong, there are more, but these are the 4 ways that we have acquired properties. The traditional method of buying a property, either moving out of it or whatever the case may be, getting a loan, using a realtor and all that kind of stuff, and putting on Airbnb, we've done that. Not my favorite. The only reason we did that is because that was a personal residence at one point. We just moved out of it and let it do its thing. Rental arbitrage. We have one rental arbitrage. We've done a few in the past. It's a way to lease and sublease, essentially is what rental arbitrage is I can talk to a homeowner, I can negotiate terms, I can lease for 3, 4, 5 years, I can pay them $1,000, I can put it on Airbnb, make $2,000 or $3,000 a month, pay my expenses, and keep the profit. The third way was lease option, which is similar to rental arbitrage. However, we actually have a stake in that property. We're putting money into it. We're putting a down payment. We're controlling it for longer. We have more profit to make if done correctly. And it's again a unique way for low cost to get into a property, control it, and profit off of it. And then last was my favorite, which is subject to, being able to control properties, buy properties with little upfront costs, deed transfers to my business, mortgage stays in the homeowner's name. We then pay the mortgage company indefinitely, and everybody's a winner. The homeowners don't have to worry about a mortgage anymore. They don't have to worry about repairs. We get a new asset that's profitable usually on day one, and we'll make profits off that property for years to come. So it's a great way to acquire properties. And you have to acquire properties if you're going to have something to put on Airbnb as a short-term rental. So guys, I want to thank y'all for watching this one. Trust me, there's so much more information coming your way. So keep your pen and notepad out, take some more notes, and I'll see you for the next course. All right.
Bye. Thank you for watching. If you got lots of value from our free content, you're going to love the one-on-one coaching, group coaching, and seminars that we offer on our website at reisimplified.co. We look forward to guiding you through the early steps of building your business, buying real estate, and working towards financial freedom. Let's go buy some houses.